the hidden frequency, why you've been haunted since birth. There's a reason you never quite fit in. And I don't mean in that cliché, surface-level way. I mean at the soul level. Like something in you always knew this world wasn't built for your kind of energy. You walked through life like a ghost among the living, half here, half somewhere else. You weren't just different. You were marked, and not by accident, not by fate, but by design. Because if you're truly one of the dark chosen ones, then you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to bend reality. I know how this sounds, but before you write it off, I want you to look back on your life. Really look. Have you noticed how chaos seems to orbit you? How people either fear you or feel drawn to you like moths to flame? Have you noticed that your presence alone can shift the mood of a room? That people confess things to you without knowing why? That you've endured pain most wouldn't survive, and yet, somehow you did survive? You didn't just survive, you transformed. And that transformation is your first sign. See, the dark chosen ones are not chosen because they are perfect. They are chosen because they are resilient. Because they carry codes that most people can't even comprehend. And those codes are activated through fire, through loss, through betrayal, through isolation. We are not called in comfort, we are summoned in the storm. And the storm is the first language of the new earth. The new earth isn't a utopia. It's an alchemical rebirth. It's a collapse of illusion, a sacred burning of everything false. And only those who've already been through that collapse within themselves can hold space for what's coming next. Let me tell you something most spiritual leaders won't. The new earth isn't being built by the light workers alone. It's being built by the shadow holders, the ones who can walk through darkness and not be devoured, the ones who can hold grief, rage, lust, death, transformation, and still stand, still speak, still serve. That's you. That's what being a dark chosen one means. You weren't called to escape the world. You were called to recode it, to embody a new archetype, to be the bridge between the old and the unknown. And that's why your life has been anything but normal. Let's talk about the signs, not the fluffy kind, the real ones. The ones that shake your foundation and make you question your sanity. The first sign: you've been haunted since birth. Maybe not by ghosts, but by knowing. You've known things you shouldn't, felt things others missed, seen through people's masks before they even opened their mouths. You've been called intense, too much, too deep. But what if that intensity wasn't a flaw? What if it was a frequency one that only a few carry and even fewer survive? The second sign: you've experienced radical isolation. Not just loneliness, but soul-searing separation. From family, from society, from yourself. You've gone through deaths not just physical, but egoic, identity deaths, dreams that died, versions of you that you had to bury just to keep going. And every time you thought it was the end, something deeper awakened. That's the mark of the chosen. You've been stripped again and again, not because you're cursed, but because you're being hollowed out for something greater, something that can only move through an emptied vessel. And here's the third sign. You've always carried a forbidden hunger, a pull toward the taboo, toward power, toward the mysteries that religion told you to fear. You've questioned everything. You've dismantled belief systems. You've looked God in the face and said, "Show me the truth, even if it breaks me." That's not rebellion. That's remembrance. Your soul remembers the ancient ways, the codes of creation and destruction. You are not just here to heal. You are here to rebuild the system from its ashes. But to do that, you must first accept your role. And this is where most fall. Because the world will try to shame you into silence. It will tell you to be softer, smaller, quieter. It will say you're too dark, too intense, too dangerous. But let me ask you something. What if your danger is divine? What if your power was never meant to be palatable? What if your shadow was the exact medicine the new earth needs, because it's the only thing strong enough to burn through the lies? You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be true. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be undeniable. And if you've made it this far, if you're still listening, then I need you to hear me clearly. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are being recalibrated. And the darkness you've been walking through, it's not a punishment. It's preparation. You're being shaped into a vessel that can hold the frequency of collapse and creation simultaneously. That's what the new earth demands. Not purity but capacity, not conformity but courage. And that courage begins when you stop trying to be like everyone else and start remembering why you were born different. You are not a mistake. You are a myth in motion, a prophecy breathing through skin and bone. And your time has come. The architects of collapse, why the new earth needs your darkness to rise. Let's drop the illusion right here. The new earth is not some fantasy land of eternal light and perfect peace. It's not a utopia where everyone suddenly becomes kind and conscious overnight. It is not a sanitized heaven where no one ever gets triggered, or where darkness is finally defeated. No, if you think that, you're still playing by the rules of the old earth. The old earth was built on polarity, on suppression, on pretending light is superior and shadow is something to be exercised. But the new earth? The new earth is about integration, and integration demands truth. Raw, uncomfortable, soul-shaking truth. And that's where we come in. We are the architects of collapse, the dark chosen ones, the frequency disruptors. Not because we destroy for fun, but because we've seen what happens when truth is buried beneath spiritual performance. Because we've lived through systems that praised the light while hiding their rot in silence. Because we've watched false prophets preach love while feeding off fear. And we said, enough. The world cannot evolve through denial. It must evolve through death. Not physical death, but the death of illusion, of egoic identity, of false order. And we are the ones who carry the fire to make that happen. You see, your darkness is not a flaw, it's a blueprint. It's a map encoded with the exact frequencies needed to dismantle the old world's illusions. You carry the codes of endings. You bring endings with your very presence. You might have noticed this already. When you enter someone's life, things shift. Secrets come out. Relationships collapse. Patterns get exposed. Not because you're toxic. Not because you're negative. But because your frequency is honest. And honesty, when it's real, destroys what's fake. That's your gift. That's your curse. That's your role. But the world doesn't reward this kind of medicine. It fears it. It fears you. Because you don't offer comfort, you offer clarity. You don't allow people to sleep, you awaken them. And awakening isn't always pretty. It's messy. It's violent. It's sacred. And it requires someone strong enough to hold the collapse without collapsing. That's why your life has been so brutal. That's why your initiations have felt like death. Because you are being trained to hold frequency while the old world burns. Let me ask you a question only you can answer. Can you watch it all fall apart and still stand? Can you let the masks drop, the systems crumble, the identities die, and not rush to fix it, not rush to save anyone, but trust the breakdown? Because this is where your mastery begins. Not in what you build, but in what you're willing to let die. You are not the savior. You are not the villain. You are the catalyst, the ignition point for spiritual combustion. And the new earth cannot rise until the old one fully burns. Most people fear collapse, but we were born for it. We've been collapsing since birth, over and over. Every time we try to conform, something breaks. Every time we try to play small, something explodes. Every time we try to be normal, the universe laughs and drags us back into the abyss. Why? Because you're not meant to fit into this version of reality. You're meant to recode it, and recoding doesn't happen through denial. It happens through destruction followed by rebirth. Now here's the twist. Your darkness is not just about endings. It's about beginnings. You hold the seed of the new earth, not in spite of your shadow, but because of it. Because only someone who has walked through the underworld of their own soul can lead others through theirs. Only someone who has danced with death in all its forms can hold space for collective resurrection. You are not just the flame that burns. You are the soil that nourishes what comes after. And this is why you've always felt like both a misfit and a leader. Like you wanted to disappear and also be seen. Like you didn't belong anywhere, yet felt destined for something massive. That paradox is the mark of the dark chosen one. We are not one thing. We are everything the world tried to separate. We are angel and demon, light and shadow, silence and thunder. We are the bridge between extremes, and our gift is that we remember even when the world forgets. So if you've ever wondered why your path has been so hard, why your awakening felt more like a war than a blessing, why your gifts scared people instead of healing them, understand this. You are an architect of collapse, and the new earth cannot be built without you. Because before we can rise, we must break. Before we can ascend, we must descend. And before we can lead, we must remember who we are completely. Not just the light, not just the sacred, but the shadow, the silence, the rage, the storm. You are not here to be understood. You're here to be felt. You're not here to be revered. You're here to be real. You are not here to follow the rules of the old world. You are here to erase them. And the moment you accept that, the moment you stop apologizing for your frequency, the moment you stop trying to be safe, that's the moment your true power awakens. Not the power to control, but the power to liberate, to initiate, to reveal. The shadow frequency, how you carry the blueprint of the future in your body. Look, this is where most people stop. Right here, right at the edge of their own shadow. Because let's be honest, it's easier to chase light. It's easier to post about healing than actually go through it. It's easier to collect spiritual tools than it is to burn everything that isn't real. But us, we didn't come here to be comfortable. We came here to transform the grid. And to do that, we had to become the grid breakers. The ones who carry a frequency so ancient, so primal, so true that it short-circuits the matrix every time we walk into a room. That frequency is not light. It's not love. It's not purity. It's shadow. And I'm not talking about trauma or pain alone. I'm talking about the raw blueprint of evolution coded into your very DNA. The energy you carry in your body, in your blood, in your bone marrow, it's not just a vibration. It's a signal to the earth itself. A signal that says, collapse is safe, truth is welcome, power is sacred. You were encoded before birth. You were wired to wake up during this exact time. And not just to survive the shift, but to lead it from within. Most people don't understand what shadow really is. They think it's about demons or darkness or lower vibrations. But in truth, shadow is the unclaimed power of your being. It's the part of you that was exiled to please others, to stay safe, to survive systems that were never built for your kind of energy. Your shadow holds your rage, your sensuality, your primal instinct, your raw knowing, your unapologetic sovereignty. And that's why it's been suppressed. Because a fully embodied, fully integrated being is ungovernable. And if everyone embodied their shadow frequency consciously, the old world would collapse overnight. You don't heal your shadow by fixing it. You become it. You learn its rhythms. You listen to its language. You let it teach you things light never could. You stop treating it like an enemy and start treating it like an initiation path. That's what most spiritual traditions missed. They tried to bypass the shadow through prayer, through love and light, through ascension. But we descend, we go inward, we go down. We sit in the rot and we listen. Because we know that the roots of the new earth are not growing in the sky, they are growing in the underworld. So here's the truth you need to hear. Your body is a portal. Your nervous system is a transmitter of future timelines. Your womb, your gut, your voice, your hands, they are not just flesh. They are instruments of memory, memory of a time before time. Memory of a world that existed before this one collapsed into hierarchy, control, and shame. And that memory is still alive in you. You feel it every time you cry for no reason, every time you rage without a clear target, every time you stare into the mirror and wonder, why did I come back here? You came back because you carry the codes. You are the living library of the forgotten truth. And the shadow frequency you hold is the key to unlocking it. That's why your body has felt like a battlefield. That's why you've experienced chronic pain, anxiety, trauma loops, or energetic whiplash. Because your vessel is being rewired to hold something most people can't even imagine. You're not broken. You're restructuring. And that restructuring is not a glitch, it's a sacred reprogramming. But here's the edge. This frequency cannot be faked. You can't wear the shadow as a costume. You can't mimic it with aesthetics or language. You have to become it. You have to live it. You have to stare into the void of your own psyche and let it swallow you whole, because only then will you emerge with the kind of power that can't be bought, sold, or stolen. The kind of power that remembers what it is before the world told it to behave. You don't need another mantra. You don't need another guru. You need to descend into the temple of your own body and listen. The answers are not in the sky. They are in your hips, in your blood, in your womb space and your spine. You are a living technology. Your shadow frequency is the language of the earth itself. And when you finally stop resisting it, when you let it rise through you without apology, you become unshakable. This is why the world reacts to you the way it does. Why people either worship you or fear you. Why you walk into a room and everything shifts. You're not too much. You're not intimidating. You're not mysterious. You're just remembering who you are. And that remembering is disruptive, because it forces others to confront the parts of themselves they've buried. It forces them to feel what they've numbed. You don't even have to speak. Your presence is prophecy. So what do we do with this frequency? We embody it. We become walking activations. We don't preach, we transmit. We don't argue, we radiate. We don't try to fix the world, we become the new pattern. We build systems from our bodies. We write new codes with our choices. We lead through resonance, not control. This is the path of the dark chosen one. Not to dominate, not to disappear, but to disrupt and then reweave. Let me ask you something. What would happen if you stopped running from your own power? What would happen if you let your shadow frequency rise without censoring it, without trying to make it digestible, without editing it to be spiritual? What if your very existence in full truth was the revolution? Because it is. It always has been. And now it's time to own it. The new earth will not be built by those who reject their shadow. It will be built by those who embody it with reverence and responsibility. That's you. That's us. And the earth is waiting. The final gate, how to activate your mission and lead in the age of collapse. This is it. The threshold, the final gate. the place where most turn back not because they're weak, but because they're not ready. And if you're still here, still listening, still breathing with me through this transmission, then I need you to understand something that could change everything. You are already initiated. You don't need another awakening. You don't need someone to give you permission. You don't need to be perfect, healed, or fully aligned. You just need to say yes, a real yes, a cellular yes, a soul level yes. Because the moment you say yes, everything changes. This world is not waiting for more teachers. It's waiting for leaders. And I don't mean leaders in the traditional, hierarchical sense. I mean energetic anchors, frequency holders, those who can stand in the middle of collapse and not flinch, those who can hold chaos as calmly as they hold beauty. Is those who have been through the fire and now carry the flame not to burn others, but to light the path. You are one of those people. You wouldn't have made it this far if you weren't. But leadership in the age of collapse looks nothing like what we were taught. It's not about followers. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's not about building platforms or selling enlightenment. It's about embodiment, pure, raw, unapologetic embodiment. It's about becoming the frequency itself, speaking it, walking it, breathing it, letting it shape your relationships, your decisions, your business, your art, your silence. That's real power. And it doesn't come from outside. It rises from within. The final gate is not a place. It's a moment, a state, a choice. It's when you stop waiting for someone to show you your mission and realize you are the mission. You are the embodiment of the new earth. You are the message, the channel, the structure, the collapse, the rebirth. Everything you've been seeking is already coded into you. The question is, are you willing to activate it? Are you willing to stop playing small? Stop pretending you're confused. Stop hiding behind, "I'm still figuring it out." Because let's be honest, your soul already knows. It always has. You've just been afraid of what it would cost you to fully own it. And that fear is valid. Because stepping into your true mission will cost you everything that isn't real. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It will cost you relationships that were built on your silence. It will cost you the illusion that you're safe as long as you stay small. But what you gain in return is everything. You gain alignment. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to wake up every day and remember why you came. You gain integrity, not performative integrity, but soul-deep, non-negotiable truth. You gain a connection to Source that cannot be shaken. You gain a relationship with the earth so intimate, so honest, that you begin to feel her pulse in your bones. You gain the ability to lead not by force, but by frequency. Not by teaching, but by being. And here's the paradox: the more you embody your mission, the less you need the world to understand it. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop trying to be relatable. You stop trying to be liked. You realize that to be chosen is to be set apart. That to be called is to be cut open. and that your leadership is not about being elevated, it's about being anchored, deep, rooted, unshakable. You become the mountain. You become the thunder. You become the signal that says, it's safe to awaken now. Let me ask you something, and answer this from the most honest place in you. What would your life look like if you stopped pretending you didn't know who you are? What would you create? What would you destroy? What would you stop tolerating? What would you finally say out loud? Because the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop performing, the moment you stop waiting for the perfect moment, you step into the gate. And the gate does not open gently, it erupts. You will lose things, but you will gain momentum. You will gain allies, real ones, not the ones who want you to stay digestible, but the ones who see you in your full shadow and still stand beside you. You will gain visions, downloads, dreams that speak in languages only your soul understands. You will begin to walk through the world differently. Your pace will slow, your gaze will sharpen, your presence will activate. You won't need to convince anyone of anything. You will simply become undeniable. The final gate is not about reaching enlightenment. It's about choosing embodiment. It's about living your truth so fully that the old versions of you have no choice but to burn. And when they do, you'll stand in the ashes, not as a victim, not even as a survivor, but as a creator, the builder of the new earth. Not from fantasy, not from theory, but from embodied frequency, from deep cellular knowing, from unshakable soul vision. This is your time, not in some distant future, not when you've healed everything, not when you've figured it all out. Now, this breath, this moment, this sacred, terrifying, beautiful now. You are not waiting for the world to change. The world is waiting for you to remember that you are the change, that you are the template, that you are the bridge between what was and what's coming, and that your shadow is not a weight, it's a wing. So rise, not for applause, not for validation, but because you can't not rise anymore. Because the fire in your bones has become louder than the voices that told you to stay small. Because the earth is speaking through your pulse now. Because the new earth is not a place you go, it's a frequency you become. And you were born for this. We are the dark chosen ones. We are the ones who remember. We are the ones who lead not from light alone, but from the sacred fusion of shadow and flame. And our time is now.